everyone, this is Ali Reza. Welcome to another episode of Let's Mod with me in Minecraft. In this episode, we will make our block rotate. Okay, first things first, we have something to add here. Well, we are handling on block activated. We have something to do here. We handled the breaking block that is finished. Now we need to handle something more, and that is another override, and that is on block placed by the stuff we get here. Of course, this is war, this is X, come on, enter, this is Y, this is Z, this is player, okay, and the last one is of course the item stack. So first we want to call the super, no problem there, but now we want to identify the side that the player is looking and then rotate the block like that. So first we say int dir equals to math helper from net Minecraft dot floor double. Of course we are casting to double, so double. Oh, double. Come on. Double. There we go. What we want to cast is first the player dot rotation yaw, okay, multiplied it by 4f, then divide it by 360, okay, and we add another set of parentheses there, and here we add 0.5 double. Okay, this part that I'm writing is all over the forums. Now a little back to our operators. We operate it with 1, 1. So we put an AND there. And this AND makes sure that we only use the 2 least significant bits, and we AND this, whatever the result is, with 3 in reality, okay? Then we say word dot set block metadata with notify on X, Y, Z, and the notification we want is dir, and we use 3. Let's take a look at let's take a look at its, ouch, come on, work. It's what is this guy saying is that well, this is parameter 5, and the parameter 5 is the flag. So if it's 2, and if it's 2, then word removed, blah blah. Yeah. If it's 1 and we are in client side, then we do some stuff, and we don't see the 3 somewhere. So if it's 2 or if it's 4, we will do some stuff there. So 3 is the safe one. So 1 is happening only on client side. 2 is happening only when we are in server side, okay? Or we are not in server side, but we send in 4. But we are not sending 4, okay? And we have a chunk function there. So the 3 is just setting the metadata. And I think I will go with, 3, whatever. So that's the code. Then we get the tile entity, and we call it entity equals to the word we got from the method dot get tile entity in x, y, and z. Okay. Then we say if entity is instance of course, our t factory. We want to do stuff. First, we say int meta equals to word dot, again, get block meta. Okay, from x, y, and z. Remember, we just set it on top and we updated it so we can get it now. Then we say meta equals to meta plus 1 modulus 4. Okay, so this means that, okay, whatever the setting one was, I want it to be only between 0 and 3. Okay, we'll take a look why later. So we say word dot set block meta with notification, again x, y, z, and this time meta and 3. Okay, and then we say okay, one more casting. Yeah, we say te factory entity dot set. Yeah, you remember we have something called set receive side, and we add method. Are we done in this method? Yeah. What we had done here is that first we calculated the direction between player and the way it's looking. Then we set the notification for the block. Then we got the entity and we checked if the entity is the t factory, then we modulus that with 4. Because we don't want it to be behaving like pistons, meaning that we don't want our block to be facing on top or bottom. We just want it to look at 4 different sides of itself. Then we again set the block meta and we call the entity to hey, change the set receive sides for the tile entity, and remember it's in here. We had done nothing on that yet. But are we done? No. In render factory, if you recall, we got the metadata, but we didn't do anything, and we said, hey, later on we will come back here. So what do we want is first, we want our direction being +1. Okay? Then multiply it by -90f. Let's run it. By the way, if you are not making your block in a way that it's looking to positive z, you may need to change this number to make it work. The easiest way is to try and see if your block behaves properly. So how do I make that? Well, I have a factory. Whenever I put it, it should face toward me. There we go. There we go. And there we go. So this is how I make sure that my numbers are working. So for example, if I made it so that it was looking in -z, I may went and change this number to whatever corresponding, but this -90f, it will remain there. We will just playing with this number and see the result. Okay, so we made our model to look at ourselves, but we didn't make it so that the RF is accepting our energy properly now. So coming back to tile entity factory, well, it's really easy. How we do that? We say forge direction. Direction equals to forge direction down first. Okay, Then we say, why down first? Because that's the default one that we want. Then we switch on the meta. Okay, on the meta. And we say case 0, we want to do something. Case 1, we want to do something. Case 2, we want to do something. And case 3, we want to do something. And then we break. We don't do anything else. Sorry. But at the end, we say, okay, receive sides. First of all, clear all of it. Okay? Then we say receive side. But then we say, receive sides dot add first forge direction down, because that's our default. Okay? Then we say receive side dot add direction dot get opposite. Then we say receive side dot add direction, direction dot get rotation. And here we say forge direction down or up first. Okay. Then we add the same thing, but here we look at down again. We look at down again. Okay. And then at the end we say this dot mark. No, come on. This dot mark 30 and say side. We'll see that sides initialized. What is this? Equals to true. Well, this is a boolean, of course. We need to create the field. That's the boolean, and we call it false at the start. On top of the update entity, well, first of all, I want to remove this guy from here. Okay? On top of update entity, we say, let me find my notes. I know what should I do, but I want to be precise. Yeah. We say if not sides initialized, then what we want to do is just saying this dot set receive sides and this dot get block metadata. Okay? This is a lazy way of updating your entity when you are loading the world, because remember, this metadata is synced by itself between server and client, so you don't need to do any syncing there. And the magic now happens here. Okay, what do we want to do? I will come back to this after I made the rotation of the block, because then it will make sense. So the rotation of the block okay, first of all we check if a player is not sneaking. We check that, then we are doing this stuff. First of all, we get the tile entity equals to word dot get tile entity on X, Y, and Z. Okay, then we check if entity is instance of T factory, then we want to do stuff. What we want to do is get the metadata equals to var dot get block metadata in X, Y, and Z. Okay? Then we say meta is equals to meta plus 1, and again module of 4. This makes it so that every time we click on the block, when we are shift clicking, it will add 1 to the meta, and it makes sure that it won't go over 3. So for example, it gets 4, 4 modulus 4 equals 0, and it assigns 0 to meta again. Okay? Then we say var dot set block metadata with notification of X again, Y, Z, and meta that we calculated, and 3 again as flag. After that, we call T factory of entity, and well, we again want to set receive side sending in the meta. Okay, meta, there we go. So what we are doing, well, each time we are clicking on the block, we check if the player is not sneaking, then open the block GUI. If we are sneaking, like normal standard stuff, then we get again check the tile entity that is the factory. Then we get the block at the same spot. We add 1 to the meta. We set the block metadata with notify, and then sending it back to the T factory so that we get the receive sides. Remember, this guy here by itself, this single line by itself reads the metadata of the block, okay? And then we are calculating the rotation based on that metadata. So every time we are rotating the block, the renderer by itself will rotate the block for us. The T factory, on the other hand, needs to handle the receiving side of energy. Now, how do we go for that? Well, let's take a look at forge direction. There are magical numbers, but the magic numbers are corresponding to these indices. So this is 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We don't want 0 and 1. Yeah, we don't want 0 and 1. How do we handle that? Well, when we come back here, we are defining them by ourselves. Case 0 here doesn't mean down. No, because we are handling the rotation ourselves with this line, we are giving it some other direction. So for example, let's take a look. If I get my note here, case 0 says that, hey, the direction of the block direction is equals to forge direction dot west. And how did I find it? Well, I ran the game. I ran the game and put a block, and let me show you how did I find it. These are not magics. No, they are just trying and finding. For example, when I put a factory like this, then I would say, okay, I stand on it, I look to the front side, yeah, and I will move from here on, looking at X and Z. And I say, okay, this is minus Z, minus X, sorry. And of course, I was logging my metadata here. So the minus X here, you see, it's west. And by accident, I put it in the same direction. So my log here was yelling at me, hey, metadata here is 0. And I found that I was looking at minus X. So I said, okay, it's equals to fist. And the rest is the same way. So I put another block in another direction. I got metadata equals 1, and I took at the direction, and I found that 1 here is north. 2 is direction equals to forge direction south. No, sorry. My bad. East. And the last one, that was 3, was direction equals to forge direction. Of course, the last one is the south. Okay? So I just here put something like log.info and the meta. And when I was putting a block, of course, I was not here, control, what the hell, control X in top, control V, yeah, okay. So whenever I was looking at a meta direction of 0, I was checking that which direction the block is facing, but blah, blah, blah. All of them came like that. So these are not magics, these are not try and error, no, a simple logging and then finding the direction. Now let's run. By this point, we should have the directions, okay? And we are sure that our meta is one of these. Why we are sure? Because we are just doing the modulus 4, no matter what. So let's do it. Come on, not again. Okay, so as you notice now, the front of the block is not connected, but all 3 other sides are connected. However, oh, thank you, and if I shift click, our block is rotated, and again, the front is not connected. Shift click again, same thing happens. Shift click again, same thing happens. Now, if I didn't use the modulus 4, the next shift click, the upside down would be turned, but we are doing the modulus 4, so we are golden. Okay? So this way, we have a block that can accept energy on the size that we wanted, and the front is not accepting the energy at all. So I can, oh yeah, I can rotate it like this, and this is the front. It won't accept the energy. And there we go. So we have our block. The click up, opens the energy, the interface, and of course we can turn on energy, and it's accepting 5 EU per tick, but on each side. So now we are accepting 20 EU per tick. Okay, don't forget that. And because each side is accepting 5 EU, don't forget that part. And of course, now we can add more and more sides. If you take a look, for example, yeah, and boom, it will connect. So this is our factory hooked to RF, custom modeled. The model is now directed properly, okay? And of course, we can rotate each one of them, no matter what. So this guy is there, this guy is there, this guy is there, and again, we can rotate it, and each one is completely separate because we are reading the data from the tile entity and not the block, okay? And by that, this episode is finished. So our receive side is finished, our RF energy is finally finished, and by that, the factory itself is finished. Nice, isn't it? So we have a factory block, and we don't have anything to do with this guy anymore. Yeah. Now, what is left considering the factory? Let me think. Well, first of all, nothing is working in the factory as crafting. That needs to be handled. But factory GUI is finished. Tile entity factory. We have jobs to do on the. Let me go down one by one. Yeah. So we have to do stuff on update entity yet to handle those receipts. Our render factory is final. Our factory class is final. So I think we only need to handle our recipes now in the tile entity factory and of course by instance in our container. Yeah. So we will go, of course, moving slots is not the problem here, transfer stack is not, merge item stacks is not, set slot range is correct, and next ID, blah, blah. We don't have anything to do with these guys anymore, okay? But now we need these comments. You will see why in next episodes. And I mean more than one episode because honestly, that would take us few episodes to handle stuff. And yeah, that's it. So let us add another region here. And we call it slot handling. And we say do not change. This part is finished. Next episode, we'll come back and start adding stuff first to TE factory, then we will call a network message to call the factory container to update the slots and its items, blah, blah, blah. Have fun everybody, see you in next episode.